Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we're going to be once again talking about Dustborn. Now over the past couple of days since its release, watching the failure of this game is like watching a slow-moving car crash. It is really brutal to watch. For a game that's been labeled the wokest game ever, it really deserves that title because some of the main features of this game include using the power of words and literally weaponizing words against your enemies, and also using the trigger function to respond to microaggressions of your enemies. It makes really no surprise that this game has bombed to levels that are pretty impressive, actually. An all-time peak of 76 players despite being propped up and promoted by games journalists all across the board. And in fact, only a few hours before recording this video, there was a time where only 12 players were active on Dustborn. They couldn't even get a baker's dozen. That's how bad things are. Now, in the last couple of days since the last video on Dustborn, there have been more screen caps coming out from this game from people who have really sacrificed their sanity to go out there and try out this game just for the laughs, and the new screen caps are absolutely hilarious. I have to share them with you. So here are some of the more in-game abilities. You can see this new cancel function saying, "We've learned how to cancel someone. Cancel will allow us to isolate people from their friends and compatriots in battle. This could be a useful tool against enemies." You know, just so you're aware, a lot of the people who are behind the studio and supporting the studio in this game, they will tell you cancel culture isn't real, and yet they have it as an ability in one of their games that makes it sound like it's some sort of a superhuman ability. So they love cancel culture, they love canceling people, and this is just proof of that. But there was also a couple of other ones that came out that are just as ridiculous. How about the bully function? "We've learned to bully people. Bully gives us the power to force people to do something they may not want to do or to make them feel bad about themselves. In fights, this could be highly effective on targeted enemies." And how about the normalize feature? "We've learned how to normalize negative emotions. Normalize gives us the ability to make people think certain behaviors or feelings are normal, but I'm not sure it will do much for us in a fight." Yeah, they're just going mask off with these things. This is their basically their armory of tools that they use in their everyday life on social media to try to cancel and attack people over a bunch of virtue signaling and nonsense. However, that stuff might be a bit goofy, but this is a much more serious claim, as Vera Dark here shares. She tags a bunch of games journalist outlets saying, "You guys have been covering Dustborn. When are the articles releasing about Red Thread Games copying and pasting the GTA Online apartments?" So here's some evidence from people that are trying to claim that the Dustborn in-game interiors of these apartments, the layout is the exact same as GTA Online. And honestly, looking at it, it seems pretty convincing. A lot of people think this is a direct ripoff, which is even worse when you think about the fact that this game is funded in part by the government. So they've received over 150,000 euros to make this game. And they're still cutting corners. And apparently, and a lot of people believe, are stealing assets. Despite getting government funding, they're still cutting corners. It's crazy. However, this claim was enough to get some of the employees at Red Thread Games out. So here we have Thea Berg, the game designer at Red Thread Games. You can read the rest of her bio here. It's amazing. She's in her villain era, gay agenda connoisseur by Dustborn. So you can see her last tweet before she would eventually go private, quote retweeting Mark Kern, who shared that government funding right there, and they say, "Grum's preferred method of finding funding is e-begging," by the way. So this is a pretty crazy thing, right? So on the one hand, they're trying to shame Mark Kern for seeking out crowdfunding for his own projects, willing volunteers who are giving over money for the game and its production, and trying to say that her way is better, which is taking money from taxpayers. Like, that money could have gone to, I don't know, schools, helping people out, but no, it went to your game that only a dozen people are playing right now, and it's basically the laughingstock. Somehow they think that's better. And also keep in mind, they're getting funded by the government. This game, the entire plot, is supposed to be the point of the perspective of a rebellion, a group of punks who are fighting back against the government, and yet here's the creators accepting handouts from the government to produce this game. On top of that, there's some selfies going around of this individual. And right here, you can see that she has the Apple logo tattooed to her face, which is just beautiful irony here. So like, she's trying to make this game about being a punk and being anti-establishment, but then you have one of the most profitable companies in the world tattooed to your face. It's just crazy. But of course, just like any other scenario where someone like her enters the discourse voluntarily, now people are going to look through her account and see other things she has said. And just like all these other games journalists and other game developers who are woke, they always have skeletons in their closets when it comes to their former tweets. So here's a couple of them, beginning with this. Wow, do not read the comments on the Goodbye Volcano High trailer on YouTube, man. Sometime in the future, gamers might realize that everything isn't made to cater specifically to you, and that's okay. Personally, can't wait to fulfill my dream of being a gay dinosaur. So this is interesting. This is another person saying, as a game designer, I know better than you in terms of what you want. I know what you want more than you do. And yeah, as it turns out, through their own game, apparently they don't know what gamers want. They looked for the modern audience, which is non-existent. They didn't show up, and that's why this game peaked out at about 70 players on release. So here's another one also saying 50% of gamers are women, by the way, and this will be a common theme for these next ones, saying men as a concept was cooked. Yes, half of the world's population is cooked in terms of their own existence. That's a fair thing to say. And the next one says, men are the weakest link, truly. Here's another one saying, I will put knitting men and sexy non-binary peeps in your video game, and I will never stop. Be afraid. I come not in peace. Well, apparently they were pretty afraid because after that, they would go private. It's funny the amount of bravado these people have when they come out and try to lash out, but the second they get even an ounce of criticism, they immediately go into hiding. So many people in the games industry, whether it's journalists or developers, are private right now because they cannot face any criticism except or in spite of being so outspoken about their own games and their own agenda that they're trying to insert into those games. But I want to read this comment from Savvy about this game developer or this game designer. And I think this really is just the mic drop. So if you don't know, Savvy's been doing some playthroughs of Dustborn, doing really God's work for our entertainment, suffering through all of that. But they made this comment about the GTA assets and also the comments made by this game designer. So I'm just going to read this. I didn't think the hashtag Dustborn giggles could get any more silly. Here is one of the designers quote tweeting someone calling them out for copying the GTA apartment interior to a near exact T. This is incredible. During gameplay, I would make quips about things being stolen and no original thought put into anything, but I didn't think it would be this shameless. The profile stating villain era sort of explains everything though. Given the game presents villains as good guys, you can also briefly see from their feed that they look down upon crowdfunding and would much rather use taxpayer dollars that could have gone to, say, a school, a rent assist program, or something to benefit society. The player count really does make sense though. No original thought, so no one is really interested, not even the target audience. Game design is part of telling a story. I love looking at environments and seeing what choices people make, but when you straight up rip things and do not care about or do not change any of the design, it tells me you are lazy and do not care about your product. This was apparent from the story, but the lazy mindset is mirrored everywhere in this game/visual novel. It is a shame they took advantage of government programs, but these type always aim to do that because no one else will fund them. Oh well, lessons learned. Yeah, that's pretty brutal, but where did she lie? The fact that they're using government funding and then mocking people for using crowdfunding efforts for their own projects is crazy. It's completely tone deaf, and it's true. Government funding is the best avenue for a lot of these people because nowadays people are starting to realize these woke games are failures and they don't want to invest. But governments see some kind of special interest in whatever woke agenda they have, so they're giving them money. And hopefully one day that well dries up too, and people should be shamed for using tax dollars for disasters like Dustborn. Now, much like Dustborn, Concord has been an absolute disaster. This was a AAA release that came out about a day after Dustborn, and it too has flopped. A game that took 8 years of development and millions of dollars of budget has been an absolute disaster. You can see right now, 100 players or so are actively in the game. Terrible results for them. But much like Dustborn, despite this just being a complete dead-on arrival release, the media, the games journalists are doing everything in their power to try to pump numbers into this game. Here's some more posts from the last couple of days. This one saying, Concord is selling much better on PlayStation Store than Steam. Data reveals Concord is number 511 on Steam's bestsellers list, but Firewalk's new shooter sits at number 42 on PS Store's top sellers list. Yeah, they're basically trying to cope and also manipulate some of the numbers and the layouts of these various platforms to make it seem like it's succeeding so well on PlayStation when clearly that's not the case. And Steam is very important. The fact that you're trying to underplay the Steam results is showing that there's not much sales going on here. But here's another one saying Concord is much better than the hate would lead you to believe. Our review of Firewalk's debut first-person shooter. Please watch. Please play this game. Please buy this game. Please. This is basically what all these games journalists do. They are very desperate. This was their the thing they were pushing. They were pushing Concord so hard, and it instantly fell on its face. And now they're doing everything in their power to push more people towards it. You can see the PC Gamer article here saying players seem to like Concord, but its $40 price tag has led to the tepid first weekend on PC. Yeah, that sort of logic there with the price tag, wouldn't that mean that Black Myth Wukong would have failed? Oh wait, no, it sold millions and millions, over 10 million copies, and the price tag didn't seem to be an issue. Maybe the price tag is an issue because the game is really bad. The quality is not worth $40, and to many people, it's probably not worth $10 or $20. But also, there's now a guilt-shaming avenue people are going. Let's read this tweet. With regards to Concord, take a moment to remember that there are real people who for years have poured their heart and soul into making something to entertain you. It's all laughs, jokes, and told you so today, but tomorrow it'll be more remakes, safe sequels, and the lack of new IPs or any risks being taken. I'll always root for new games to succeed. Yeah, so now they're trying to shame you and basically saying, like, if you're critical of this game or making fun of what's happening, you're somehow like a bad person, and you're also going to lead to less innovation in the industry, which is hilarious because Concord really sold itself as a knockoff Overwatch. And also talking about Dustborn earlier, I mean, they're literally stealing assets from other games. So is there really any new IPs we're talking about here? It sounds like they're all just kind of feeding off of each other. And the results are obvious. People aren't interested in this nonsense. Not only are they pandering a bunch of virtue signaling, but also they're just not original. So yeah, it's not too surprising that people just aren't tuning in and purchasing these games. But anyways, that's going to do it for this latest update on these two games here, Dustborn and also Concord. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.